Does God want me to stay close to unsafe people? That's a terrifying question for a lot of people of faith because you may believe deeply in love and forgiveness, mercy, patience, long suffering, family, and reconciliation. And because of that, you may wonder, if I create distance, am I disobeying God? If someone is unsafe, do I still have to stay close? Would Jesus want me to keep trying? Am I being unloving if I protect myself? Does faith require me to keep giving access to people who keep causing harm? My name's John LaFron, and I want to welcome you to Cleave Answers, where we give clear, faith-grounded answers to the hardest questions about family, boundaries, estrangement, reconciliation, and of course, healing. And today we're talking about this question: does God want me to stay close to unsafe people? Now, the first thing that I want to say on this subject is this: God calls us to love people. He does not call us to give unsafe people unlimited access to our lives. Those are not the same thing. The reality is that you can love someone, you can pray for someone, you can hope for their healing, you can want good things for them, refuse to hate them, refuse to seek revenge, and still recognize that this relationship is not safe for me right now. When I say unsafe, I do not only mean physically unsafe. Sometimes unsafe means emotionally unsafe, spiritually unsafe, relationally unsafe, unsafe for your marriage, your children, your peace, unsafe for your ability to live honestly before God. And I think that many people get stuck because they believe love requires closeness. But love and closeness are not always the same thing. Sometimes love requires presence. Sometimes love requires patience. Sometimes love requires hard conversations. And sometimes love requires distance because closeness has become destructive. All right, the second thing: Jesus loved people without entrusting himself to everyone. That is one of the most important examples that we have. In the book of John, we read that Jesus did not entrust himself to certain people because he knew what was in man. He loved perfectly, he served perfectly, he forgave perfectly, but he did not give everyone the same level of access. There were people that he taught, people that he healed, people he confronted, people he withdrew from, people he refused to answer, people he walked away from, and people he allowed close. Jesus was not driven by guilt. He was led by the Father. And being led by God did not mean being endlessly available to every person who wanted access to him. So when someone says, if you were really Christ-like, you would stay close, we have to slow down, because Christ-like love is not the same thing as unlimited proximity. Christ-like love includes wisdom, discernment, truth, boundaries, and obedience to God over the pressure of people. Third, unsafe people often want access without accountability. This is where many people get confused and why we're doing this video. Because unsafe people may still use the language of love. What does that look like? Well, they talk about family and forgiveness, unity, peace, reconciliation. They may say, we just want things to go back to normal. Or, why can't we just move on? You're being divisive. You're tearing the family apart. You need to forgive. But often what they are really asking for is access without any change. They want closeness without truth. They want reconciliation without repentance. They want peace without repair. And that is not biblical reconciliation. That's pressure. Because reconciliation is not just everybody getting back in the same room. Reconciliation requires truth. It requires humility, ownership, changed behavior, fruit over time. If someone wants closeness but refuses accountability, you are allowed to notice that. You're allowed to take pause. You're allowed to say, I am not closing the door to healing, but I cannot keep pretending that this is safe when nothing has changed. And fourth, staying close to unsafe people can cost you more than you realize. Sometimes the cost shows up slowly. You become anxious before every interaction. You start hiding parts of your life. You rehearse conversations in your head for days. Your spouse feels the pressure. Your children absorb the tension. You stop trusting your own discernment. Your nervous system stays on high alert. Your prayer life becomes full of guilt and confusion instead of peace and clarity. And over time, the relationship starts taking more than it's allowed to take. Your peace, your honesty, your marriage, your confidence, your ability to be present with your own family. And this is where stewardship comes in, because God has not only entrusted you with the feelings of extended family members, He has entrusted you with your own soul, your marriage, your children, your home, your emotional and spiritual health. Sometimes protecting those stewardship responsibilities requires distance from people who keep creating harm. And I want to be really careful here. Calling someone unsafe should never become a weapon. It should not be used casually. It should not become a label we throw at anyone who disappoints us, or disagrees with us, or makes us uncomfortable. Every relationship has conflict. Every family has pain. Every person has weakness. So the question is not, did this person hurt my feelings? A better question is this: is there a consistent pattern of harm, denial, manipulation, pressure, or refusal to repair? Can truth be spoken? Can accountability happen? Are boundaries respected? Is repentance real? Is the relationship becoming healthier over time? Or does every attempt at honesty lead to punishment, guilt, rage, shame, or control? That is the kind of fruit we have to look at. Because discomfort and danger, they're not the same thing. A hard relationship is not automatically an unsafe relationship. But when a relationship repeatedly produces fear, confusion, control, spiritual pressure, emotional instability, or harm to your marriage and children, wisdom may require distance. So does God want you to stay close to unsafe people? Not always. God may call you to love them, to forgive them, pray for them, release hatred, stay humble, and to keep your heart soft, to remain open to real repentance and repair. But that does not always mean closeness, and it does not always mean access. Sometimes obedience looks like staying, and sometimes obedience looks like having the hard conversation. Sometimes obedience looks like forgiving, and sometimes obedience looks like creating distance because the relationship has become destructive. You are not more Christ-like because you allow unsafe people unlimited access to your life. And you are not less Christ-like because you chose wisdom over guilt. Jesus Christ did not invite us to live controlled by fear. He wants us to walk in truth. And sometimes that truth says, I can love you, but I cannot stay close to this version of the relationship. If this video gave you clarity, we invite you please to subscribe for more Cleave Answers, where we talk about faith, family boundaries, estrangement, reconciliation, and of course, healing through Jesus Christ. And if you are trying to understand how to set boundaries without losing your faith, my wife Ashley and I recently wrote a book called Christ-like Boundaries to help you do that with clarity, compassion, and spiritual confidence. You can find Christ-like Boundaries through the link down below. And in the next Cleave Answers video, we'll answer another question that we hear all the time. How do I know if my boundary is loving or selfish? Because for many people of faith, that question, it creates a lot of guilt. We look forward to seeing you soon.